All right, so this is the practice AP questions for short run production costs. So let's get started. So the first question, question number 8. Which of the following factors can cause a firm's cost curve to shift upward, right? And so whenever you see the term shift upward, we can really mean this to say like shift to the left, right? So in other words, a decrease. So what is going to cause our firm's cost curves to shift to the left or to decrease here? Well, here, let's go through it. A, an increase in wages. Well, will an increase in wages decrease or shift all of our cost curves up? Well, the answer is yes, right? The reason why an increase in wages is going to shift everything to the left is because it's a variable cost, workers' wages. And so if wages increase, well, that means, right, our average total cost curves are going to increase, right? It's going to shift upward or shift to the left, right? Our average variable costs are going to increase. Our marginal cost is going to increase. And so everything is going to be shifting upward, or it's going to cause a decrease in just the total quantity that can be produced here. And so the reason why B is incorrect, an increase in the firm's output, right, is just because it's going to, if we just draw out our curves here, right, our marginal and our ATC and stuff like that, right, well, if we just produce more, well, that isn't going to cause it to shift upward. It just causes movement along the curve because we're just changing the quantity. Same thing with price, right? It's just going to cause movement along the curve for C. A decrease in the firm's output is the same thing like B. It's just going to cause movement along the curve itself. And a decrease in the price of energy is going to cause it to shift down or cause it to shift to the right. So that's why the only answer choice that makes sense here is going to be answer choice A, an increase in wages. Next question. If a firm's average total cost decreases as the firm increases its output, the firm's marginal cost must be what? So here, if the ATC decreases as the firm increases output, right? And so remember what we said, right? Our ATC is always going to be U-shaped. And then our marginal cost is always going to intersect it at the ATC's minimum point. And we can also say our AVC's minimum point because the ATC and AVC are the exact same. They're not the exact same curves, but they follow the same principles. So here, right, if the average total cost curve is decreasing, right, so if it is decreasing, the firm's marginal cost must be what? Well, remember what we talked about in the video, right? If the ATC is decreasing, that means our marginal cost curve has to be below the ATC because when it's below, it pulls the average down. It doesn't matter that this portion of the ATC is increasing. It's still below our average total cost, so it's still going to pull that cost down. So we're looking for the answer choices. The marginal cost must be less or must be, less than the ATC. So is it A? No, right? Because it's not greater. Is it B? Less than the average fix? No, because the average fix doesn't come into play with the relationship between our marginal cost and our ATC. Is it less than the average total cost? Well, yes, right? Good. The reason why it can't be D is because, yes, while the marginal cost curve is decreasing at this part, it is increasing at this part, right, in green. And so it can't be decreasing. And it also can't be negative, right? Because we're not really, it's going to be positive actually, right? Because if we look at the relationship between marginal product and marginal cost, right, it's going to be positive. So C is the correct answer. So 8, or question number 3, which is question number 8 here. At 100 units, ATC is 10, AVC is 8, AFC is 2, and marginal cost is 12. How will each of the following change as the firm's output further increases here? So off the bat, we know that our average fixed cost has to be decreasing, right? So anything with increasing is just automatically incorrect here. So A and D is incorrect. Well, why do we know, or how do we know that average fixed cost is going to be decreasing here? Well, here, right, our average fixed cost is going to be asymptotically. It's going to be an asymptote with the x-axis. It's going to get closer and closer to the x-axis, but it's never going to touch the x-axis, right? And so the reason for this is our fixed cost, our total fixed cost is always the same, right? Because no matter how much you produce, that fixed cost number is always going to be the same number. But to get to our average fixed cost, we're always going to divide by the quantity. So if our total fixed cost is 100, we just do 100 divided by 1, 100 divided by 2, 100 divided by 3, and so on and so on and so on. So our average fixed cost is going to go lower and lower and lower. So it's always going to be decreasing. At no point is our AFC going to be increasing here. Well, here then. Well, what about our ATC and our AVC? So here, right, let's just draw this out. So this is our marginal cost. This is our average total cost. And this is our average fixed, or average variable cost, average variable cost. So here, right, if we're producing at 100 units, the ATC is 10, the AVC is 8, and the marginal cost is $12. Well, that means, right, that here, the point should be 100, right, and then here, right, it's going to be $12. ATC is going to be $10. And then the AVC is going to be 8. Well, here, if we produce more, right, what's going to happen? Well, our average total cost is going to go up the curve because we're producing more. Our average variable cost is also going to go up the curve, which means it's producing more, which means both should be increasing. So that means B as in boy is going to be the correct answer here. All right, so question number 4. Which of the following is always true of the relation between average and marginal costs? Well, we did this question already, right? We said, right, it doesn't matter if it's the average variable or the average total, they are always going to follow that same relationship, right? Average variable, average total. I know they aren't the same curve, but for the sake of this question, right? When marginal cost is below any of the average curves, it's going to be pulling that average down. When our marginal cost is above the average variable and above the average total cost, it's going to pull that average back up. That is why our marginal cost intersects with average variable and the average total cost at their minimum points here. So we're looking for an answer choice similar along those veins. So A, is average total cost increasing when marginal costs are increasing? Well, the answer is no, right? Because at this portion right here where average total cost is increasing, right, our average variable average total cost should be decreasing there. So the answer choice A is incorrect. Well, what about B? Marginal costs are increasing when average variable costs are higher than marginal costs. Well, yet again, that's not true, right? Because our marginal cost is decreasing at this point, but then here, our average variable cost at the same point is going to be above it, so B is incorrect. C is the same thing as A, right? Because remember, average total and average variable have the same relationship with marginal cost. So C is also incorrect if A is incorrect. Well, what about D? Average variable costs are increasing when marginal costs are higher than average variable costs. Well, yeah, that's true, right? So D is correct, right? When this portion, when our marginal cost is greater than our average variable and our average total cost, right, then our average variable, average total costs are going to be increasing, right? They're going to be upward sloping. E is incorrect because at no point are they constant, right? At no point are they perfectly horizontal, right? So they're all going to have a slope at some point, whether negative or positive, so they can't be constant. So that's why D as in dog is the correct answer. All right, so our last question. In the short run, which of the following is true of a firm's ATC? So here, right? A, is it equal to marginal cost plus average variable cost? Well, no, that's not true, right? Because we know the equation is our fixed cost plus our variable cost equals our total cost here. So if that's true, we can also say our average fixed plus our average variable is going to get us to our average total cost. So B, is it equal to marginal cost plus average? No, right? Because marginal cost has nothing to do with this equation whatsoever. C, is average total equal to average fixed plus average variable? Well, yes, right? We just did this up here, so C is the right answer. D, it always increases when firm increases production. We know that's not true, right? Because our average total cost is U-shaped. And so for increasing production, we still have to deal with this downward sloping ATC when the marginal cost is below our ATC here. So D is not correct. And to zero when the firm shuts down, we're going to get to it in a couple videos, but you just should know it's not zero. E is incorrect. C is the correct answer, and that should be all of it. All right, so I hope that answered all of your questions with these 5 practice questions here. I hope you guys learned a lot, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.